What if the thing you've been calling humility is actually hiding? What if every time favor finds you, every time opportunity knocks, every time a powerful relationship begins to form, your mind presses a button that says, tone it down, stay small, don't be too much? And what if that voice is not wisdom at all? It's not the voice of the Holy Spirit. What if it is false humility dressed in spiritual language? If you're ready for this conversation, let's dive in. Welcome back to the His Lady podcast, a place for the woman who is rebuilding, renewing, and rising. This is the place for the woman who is coming back to herself. A place for that woman who is learning that healing can be chaotic as well as holy. A place for the woman who knows that visibility can be scary as well as sacred, and becoming does not require apology. My name is Aji Michael, and I'm so glad that you are here. Now, let's get right into today's episode. One of my favorite moments from the Legacy Tea Party last December was the round table conversations. It was the way the women really felt vulnerable when they realized that they were safe. The way women started sharing freely with honesty without holding back. Performance was not in the room. Everyone feels equal. Now, I left the tea party sensing something I couldn't fully explain. And I realized that some of us were shedding old layers. Some of the ladies were quiet, kind of like coming back to ourselves. And this was not just the experience of the tea party. It's been like that in some of the conversations I'm having with all kind of women within my circle. And in many ways, that is spring. Spring is not only a season outside. It is a season inside. It is that shift that happens when a woman suddenly realizes she is ready to be seen again. And this is not because, she's seeking attention, but because deep down, she's finally aligned with who God says she is. She's aligned with who she's always been. This is your bloom, my darling. But the thing is, while a woman is blooming, here's the thing you must watch out for. The subtle trap called false humility. Now, false humility sounds reasonable. It sounds spiritual. It feels safe. It tells you to be careful, not to get ahead of yourself, not to be too visible, not to be too bold, not to act like too much. And if you're not careful, you will make this mistake of shrinking for holiness. Now, let me be very clear with you. Humility is not pretending you're small. Humility is remembering that you are not self-made. Humility is remembering that you are not by yourself, that you are sent and that you are God-made. Humility is not denying your gift. Humility is actually stewarding them very well. Humility is not hiding your light. Humility is knowing who lit it. Now, false humility, on the other hand, will have you dimming yourself so other people can stay comfortable. And I know this for sure. I remember being a young woman, I think in my early 20s, and I had friends who constantly criticized the way I dressed. Now, they were drawn to what everyone else was wearing, the kind of clothes that felt really typical for girls our age. But I always loved to dress like a woman of substance, a woman of presence, a woman with vision. Even before I had the language, or I couldn't name it then, something in me really leaned in that direction. Now, they will call me all sorts of names. They will call me out for it. They will make comments, jokes. They would even mock me and the way I carried myself. They made me feel as though the things I naturally loved were fake, forced, or somehow too much. Every shopping trip became a battle. What they were drawn to, I was not drawn to them. What felt right to them didn't feel true to me. And for a while, I really let that bother me. Now I began to shrink, to feel acceptable around them. And that's the danger. When you keep shrinking around people who do not understand your becoming, eventually you start questioning your own truth. But even then, there was a stronger force inside me. I believe a deeper pull, the Holy Spirit, something will not let me settle in a version of myself that felt too small. And eventually, as God always does, it kept pulling me back to who I really was. That is why I need to ask you today, who are you around when you feel the need to reduce yourself? Who are you around when your language changes, your confidence lowers, your style dulls, your dream quieting? Who benefits from your smallness? Because sis, not every environment deserves access to your unfolding. Some of you are stepping into season where favor is finding you, opportunities are circling you, new relationships are forming. You are being invited into rooms that once felt far away, and instead of receiving with grace, you're panicking. You are wondering what is happening. You're telling yourself to calm down, step back, act less, want less. But what if this is not the time to step back? What if this is time for you to stand up, show up, stand tall? Now, not in pride or trying to perform, but in agreement and in alignment with what God is doing in your life. If God says you're becoming a CEO, stop acting like a placeholder. If God says you are royalty, stop rehearsing lack. If God says you are called, stop introducing yourself like a woman with no weight. Now, you may not fully look like it yet. You may still be in process. You may still be healing. But your becoming deserves your cooperation. False humility will tell you to wait until everybody understands you. Real humility says, I will obey God even if it is misunderstood. False humility says, who do you think you are? Real humility says, I know exactly who made me. False humility wants your gift hidden. Real humility lays them before God and says, here I am, use me. If you have felt yourself shrinking lately, here's your invitation. I want you to pause. Tell yourself the truth. Maybe you are not being humble. Maybe you are being afraid. And fear has no right to dress itself up as a virtue in your life. I want to leave you with 3 questions to sit it with this week. The first question is this: where in my life have I mistaken shrinking for humility? Which people or place make me feel like I need to become smaller to be accepted? Question number 3: if I fully agreed with who God says I am, what would I stop apologizing for? And here is a declaration I want to encourage you when you wake up every morning to say it aloud. I will not shrink to make other people comfortable. I will stay grounded, grateful, and fully aligned with who God is making me. My love, never shrink yourself for people or places that do not understand who you are. This is your season to bloom, so shine on. And says, if this episode spoke to you, share it with a sister, leave a review, give it 5 stars, and of course, send me a little love note. I always love hearing what resonates with you. With love, Aji.